Well, hello everyone. Let me just share my screen real quick. My presentation is about visual metaphors. I hope you can see my screen right now. And I'll try to be quick. My recording had like 17 minutes, but I'll try to squeeze a lot into 10 minutes. Just to be clear, this is something I'm still learning. So it's not like I'm an expert or anything, but I'm just like trying to learn in public with this one. And I want to begin this presentation by saying, how did I get into visual metaphors? So it all started in 2017 when a friend was doing this course assignment and he created this chart. This chart was about the Brazilian government purchasing barbecues with public money, very expensive barbecues. And I wanted to redesign this chart as a personal project. I wanted to experiment with new things. So I tried to change like the opacity to reveal the hidden dots. I changed the color. I changed the whole palette, and I tried to merge this in a different way using different blend modes. And I ended up with something that looked like flames. And the whole chart said, oh, the higher the flame, the higher the value of that purchase. This is extremely expensive for a meal. And the thing is that when this was released, some people referred to this as a visual metaphor. And I have been studying a bit, not an expert, but I wonder if this is a visual metaphor. Let's try to break it down. We have something abstract that I want to try to bring closer to the readers, which is public expenses regarding barbecues. In order to do that, I use something a bit more concrete, which is the fiery chart. And in this case, these are extremely correlated. I mean, in order to get barbecues, you need fire. They are directly associated. And I wonder if this resembles more another figure of speech, which is the metonym. A metonym, if recall, in a verbal way, it is something like this. If you, I'm sorry, you could say, I swear loyalty to the crown. And you're not actually swearing loyalty to an object. You're swearing loyalty to like a royal family. So that there's this abstract thing and this concrete thing. But again, these are extremely related. So we can see examples of this in a lot of different areas. This is a chart for a study. Again, most of the charts that I'm going to present are not mine. They're just references. So this is a chart about bike sharing. And this is what was published in the research paper. And this is the version that was published in the Atlas of the Invisible. So you can see that, okay, bike sharing app, we created these things with wheels and kind of handlebars. And again, very related. Dubois created this chart depicting the value of land owned by Georgia Negroes. And as years go by, it tends to increase. And we have, again, the value of land being represented into something that is very closely related, which is like money bags. We have an abstract thing, which is value, represented in a spatial and concrete thing as money bags. There's nothing wrong with this. On the contrary, I really enjoy this, but I'm trying to like differentiate between the two. So what is a visual metaphor, in my opinion, currently? Well, we still have something that is abstract and concrete, but in order for us to create this bridge, we pick a very different universe. So it's not like barbecues and fire. You have to pick something that is very different from the original thing that you're trying to explain. And then you find a point of similarity. So these are two completely different areas, but you find something in common, and then you explore that. You can also understand this by, okay, I want to understand something that I'm not familiar with. And I use something that I'm more familiar with in order to try to understand that. And this is almost a consensus. It's our cognitive process is mainly metaphor based. And the first time that I did something which was very extreme is this news article on child adoption. And of course, there are no kids in here because we decided to represent each child as a growing plant. So we have this, I forgot the word in English, but the bigger the plant, the older the children, and you have some other metaphors. So what we're trying to do here is we have this more distance concept to our readers, which is children for adoption, and we have plants, and we find some points of similarity. They both grow over time, they both need care. And all right, this metaphor in this example, it was demonstrated to elicit some kind of sensitivity, some kind of emotional response in our readers. But metaphors are often used to learn new things, to explain new things. And we can clearly see that when we ask ourselves, what is an API? Well, an API, we can describe it as, okay, so there's your computer, and your computer makes a request over the internet to the API. This is the API, which gets some data from the server and sends it back to you. And this is a very good explanation, but we could also explain it like this. The API is a waiter. It gets requests from people. It takes them to the kitchen, to the server, where the data is prepared, and then it serves it back to people. So we're bringing the API, which is like computer thing, and merging it with the restaurant theme, which we're most familiar with, in the sense that they both handle requests. So this is the kind of thing that I'm really interested in this presentation. And we see metaphors a lot in advertising, for example. This is a digital Brazilian bank, and recently they went public in the sense that they had an IPO, which means that they began selling stocks. So they try to both advertise that and kind of explain what stocks are using this metaphor, this crystal fragment metaphor. And here you can see that the text says a pedacinho, which means like a little piece. So the metaphor here is that, okay, we want people to understand stocks and relate to stocks. So we're using crystal fragments in order to explain that they're both fractions of something. Stocks are fractions of our company, and you can own one of them. And metaphors can also be interaction hints for new technology. We are probably not aware at this point in time, but when computers were introduced, the whole graphical interface of computers was a metaphor for the office, not this office, but any office. So we have folders, we have a recycle bin, and we have, of course, the desktop where we put all of our mess in. So this is this article from '98. It says that visual metaphors lies at the heart of modern graphical users interfaces. And this is true to this day. This is what we often call skeuomorphism. Apple was very famous for doing this, which is like bringing things from the physical world into digital interfaces in a very simple manner of explaining it. But back to data. This is a UMAP projection. You don't need to understand this chart. I don't understand this chart. I have no idea what it's about. But a UMAP projection is this technique, is this algorithm where we plot things in 2 dimensions, and the things that are most similar are clustered together. So we have sports clustered together, we have gaming, we have books down here. And the same algorithm, it can be presented in a very abstract way like this, but Google created this project as an experiment for its arts and culture division, where it's called the Ocean of Books. And it uses the same algorithm to calculate the similarity between authors. And this is very tiny. Sorry, I record this in a very big screen. That's why it's tiny. But the thing is that each island in this map is an author. The bigger the island, the more books that author has published. And the closer the islands are from each other, the more similar they are. And this is relying on our kind of intuitive understanding of how geography works, of our spatial relations. We have size, we have proximity, in order for us to understand a more abstract concept, which is this fancy math, the calculated similarity. But things don't have to be high-tech. I love this example from Mona Chalabi. She wanted to convey the political ideology balance on the Supreme Court of the US. So every person here is a member of the Supreme Court. And if they're more to the right, they're more liberal. If they're more to the, I'm sorry, I messed up the directions here. If they're more towards the left, they're more liberal. If they're more to the right, they're more conservative. And the thing is that she says, oh, this is the Supreme Court with this person. If we remove that person, it kind of tips a bit. But if we add this new person, then it completely imbalances the thing, the court in a political sense. So again, political ideology using this kind of seesaw metaphor because they both can be unbalanced. And all of what we have seen so far, we are like in this spectator position, but we can also have this very vivid and experiences on a first person level. This is a project by the Wall Street Journal from 2015. And in order to explain the stock market and its ups and downs, they created this roller coaster metaphor that you can ride. And then when you get to the peak here, you have this feeling of like, oh my God, I'm going down. So it brings a very vivid thing by using a very simple metaphor that we often use in verbal communication. Oh, it's a roller coaster. At least in Portuguese, we do that. And another project that I wanted to include that is very simple, but has a different approach is this project by the New York Times. So we all know Usain Bolt is fast. And this article wanted to convey how fast his reaction time is. So when you're running, you hear the gunshot and you have to run as quick as you can. But is it meaningful if I say that he runs in 100 milliseconds? That's not really meaningful. So what this chart does is it has a countdown and you hear a gunshot and then you have to click with your mouse button as quick as you can on this button. And then it calculates how fast did you actually click it. So is it faster than Usain Bolt? Is it slower? Did you click before you actually heard the shot? So this is a very good example of like, we can bring this metaphors in a more vivid and also experiential sense. They can be verbal, they can be visual, they can be physical, but they also can be this very vivid first person experiences. And these are the main takeaways. The second one is that metaphors help us learn new concepts by relating them to things that we're familiar with already. And that makes them very suitable for when we're communicating to non-specialists. I mean, specialists already know complex subjects, but when we're communicating to a kind of general audience, it's good if we can try to bridge this gap using things that they are most familiar with. I hope this talk was inspiring, and the next time you need to explain something, you will at least consider using a metaphor from this whole different area in order to convey your message. That's it from my end. Here you have some of my social media handles, etc. Again, if you want to check the source of anything, you can go to the presentation that I sent and click this source buttons. That's it from my end. Thank you so much.